Shalom, beautiful woman of Yah, and welcome back to week 2 of a deeper healing and renewal journey. This week, we are allowing Yah to go beneath the surface, not just asking Him to heal the fruit that everyone can see, but inviting Him to reveal the root that has been producing the same patterns, reactions, and cycles in our lives. And today, we are moving into G in the light framework, guarded gates. Guarded gates is about examining what entered our hearts, our minds, our emotions, our beliefs, and our inner world, and asking a very honest question. What came in through pain that I have allowed to stay because it felt like protection? Because sometimes the thing we call wisdom is really fear that learned how to sound mature. Sometimes the thing we learn to call discernment is actually rejection that taught us to expect disappointment. Sometimes the thing we call being strong is actually emotional shutdown that taught us not to need anything from anyone. And sometimes the thing we call boundaries is really a wall that paint built because we never let Yah heal what was underneath it. So today, we are not coming with shame. We are coming with surrender. We are not here to condemn ourselves for how we survive. We are here to let Yah show us what we were never meant to carry into the next season. And before we go deeper, I want to take a moment to invite you into the honeycomb, a space created to help women of Yah slow down, reflect, and walk through this kind of hard work with scripture, prayer, journaling, and practical renewal. If this teaching is already speaking to a place in your life, I want you to know there is more support for you there. You can check out the link in the pinned comment section to learn more and take the next step. Let Honeycomb be a place where you do not just hear the message, but you sit with it with Yah, process it, and allow Him to bring healing and alignment in the hidden places. When we talk about guarded gates, we are talking about the entry points of the heart. The heart has gates, the mind has gates. The eyes, the ears, the emotions, the memories, the imagination, the body, all of these can become places where something enters and begins to shape how we see ourselves, how we see Yah, how we see people, and how we respond to life. Scriptures teaches us in Proverbs 4:23, keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. The word keep carries the idea of guarding, watching, preserving, and paying close attention to. So guarding the heart is not passive. It means I do not just let anything enter and become my teacher. I do not let every wound become my wisdom. I do not let every painful evidence define what I have believed about Yah, about myself, about relationships, about love, about correction, about safety, or about obedience. Because what enters the heart can begin to govern the life. And this is why guarded gates is such an important part of deeper healing and renewal. Because some of us are not only dealing with what happened, we are dealing with what we decided to do after it happened. We are dealing with the belief that entered. We are dealing with the vow that was formed, the rule we made, the inner agreement that said, never again. I will not need too much. I will not trust too quickly. I will stay quiet to stay safe. I will control the room before it controls me. I will always be useful, so I will not be rejected. I will hide what I feel so no one can use it against me again. I will not celebrate too soon because disappointment might be waiting. And those rules have helped shape us survive a painful season, but they were never meant to become Lord over our lives. So, our prompt for today is, what rule did I make after I was hurt? I want you to sit with that. Not just what hurt me, not just who hurt me, not just what happened, but what rule did I make after I was hurt? Because many of us did not realize that our pain became a classroom. Pain taught us something. Rejections taught us something. Disappointment taught us something. Betrayal taught us something. Neglect taught us something. Being misunderstood taught us something. Being overlooked taught us something. And the question is not only what did it teach me? The deeper question is, did Yah teach me that? Or did pain teach me that? Because pain can preach, fear can discipline, shame can train, rejection can mentor, trauma can create a theology. And if we are not careful, we will live as though the wound has more authority than the word of Yah. We will respond as though the pain memory is more trustworthy than his truth. We will allow a past experience to become the lens through which we interpret every new moment. So if someone corrects us, we hear rejection. If someone is quiet, we assume abandonment. If someone disagrees, we feel unsafe. If something is uncertain, we rush to control. If we are asked to wait, we assume we are being denied. If we are loved gently, we question whether it's real. If peace comes, we brace for chaos. And that is how an unhealed belief can govern our reactions. So today we ask Yah, what entered through the gates of my heart that was never supposed to govern me? Was it fear? Was it shame? Was it suspicion? Was it control? Was it striving? Was it people pleasing? Was it emotional shutdown? Was it the belief that my needs are a burden? Was it the belief that I have to prove my worth? Was it a belief that I am only safe when I am in control? Was it a belief that correction means rejection? Was it a belief that Yah will not handle it unless I do? Was it a belief that if I'm not useful, I will not be loved? This is where we have to get honest because guarded gaze is not just what we avoid externally. It is also about what we have allowed internally. Sometimes we guard ourselves from people, but we do not guard ourselves from the lies we keep rehearsing. Sometimes we guard our schedule, but we do not guard our thoughts. Sometimes we guard our image, but we do not guard our agreement. Sometimes we guard our emotions by shutting down, but we do not guard our hearts with truth. But Yah is calling us into a deeper kind of guarding, not guarding from a place of fear, guarding from a place of covenant, guarding from a place of identity, guarding from a place of truth, guarding from a place that says, I belong to Yah, so fear does not get to discipline me. My heart belongs to Yah, so rejection does not get to govern me. My mind belongs to Yah, so shame does not get to write my beliefs. My life belongs to Yah, so pain does not get to become my Lord. One of the most important questions for guarding gates today is, where have I called fear wisdom? That one can be uncomfortable because fear does not always look like panic. Sometimes fear look organized. Sometimes fear look responsible. Sometimes fear looks like I'm just being careful. Sometimes fear looks like I know how people are. Sometimes fear looks like I have to protect myself. Sometimes fear looks like I will never let that happen again. Now, we are not saying that wisdom does not include discernment. Wisdom absolutely pays attention. Wisdom learns. Wisdom set boundaries. Wisdom does not ignore fruit. Mm-mm. But fear driven guarding and wisdom led guarding are not the same. Fear says, I must control everything so I do not get hurt again. Wisdom says, I trust Yah to lead me and I will obey his instructions. Fear says, I cannot trust anyone. Wisdom says, I must test the fruit and move with discernment. Fear says, I must shut down before I am disappointed. Wisdom says, I can trust Yah and let him teach me safe vulnerability. Fear says, if I do not perform, I will be rejected. Wisdom says, my identity is established by Yah, not by approval. Fear says, I have to keep rehearsing what happened so I never forget. Wisdom says, I can remember the lesson without letting the wound rule my present. That is the difference. Fear protects by imprisoning. Yah protects by shepherding. Fear says, build a wall. Yah says, let me teach you how to guard the gate. A wall keeps everything out, even what Yah may be sending for your healing, growth, correction, and maturity. But a guarded gate is different. A guarded gate has discernment. A guarded gate has order. A guarded gate has submission to Yah. A guarded gate does not let everything in, but it also does not stay locked because of old pain. Many of us are not just dealing with emotions, we are dealing with agreements. An agreement is when something enters the heart and we begin to partner with it as truth. For example, pain says, you are not safe. And instead of taking that to Yah, we begin living as though that is true. Rejection says, you are too much. And we begin shrinking ourselves. Shame says, you should hide. And we begin performing instead of confessing. Fear says, you have to control this. And we begin managing everything in our own strength. Disappointment says, do not hope again. And we begin calling numbness peace. But today, Yah is inviting us to identify the agreement, not so we can sit in shame, because we cannot renounce what we refuse to name. We cannot uproot what we keep calling normal. We cannot heal what we keep protecting from the light. So this is a day of exposure, but not to expose for embarrassment. Exposure for healing. Exposure for freedom, girl. Exposure so the truth can enter where the lie has been sitting. Let's make this practical. Maybe there was a season where you constantly was criticized. Every time you tried, someone found something wrong. Every time you expressed yourself, someone corrected your tone. Every time you were vulnerable, someone minimized how you felt. So over time, a rule formed. If I'm corrected, I am being rejected. Now, years later, someone gives you a loving correction, but your nervous system does not hear love. Your wounds hear danger. Your heart hears rejection. Your body prepares to defend. And before you know it, you are over explaining, shutting down, getting irritated, pulling away, or trying to prove that you meant well. The current situation may be small, but rejection is still attached to an old belief. That is guarded gates. It asks, what entered through that old pattern? What belief stayed? What rule is still operating? What truth does Yah want to establish instead? The renewed truth may sound like correction is not rejection. I can be corrected and still be loved. Yah corrects those he loves. I do not have to defend my identity when I am being invited into growth. That is how the gate begins to be cleansed. Not by protecting the trigger, not by pretending the trigger is not there, but by letting Yah reveal what the trigger has been guarding. Or maybe you experience disappointment after getting excited about something. Maybe you hoped and then it failed. Maybe you celebrated and then something was taken. Maybe you trusted and the outcome hurt. So a rule formed not to celebrate too soon. And now, even when Yah is doing something beautiful, you hesitate to rejoice. You brace, you minimize, you say, we'll see. You prepare for the worst so disappointment cannot catch you off guard. But what if the rule that feels like protection is stealing your ability to receive joy? What if fear has been standing at the gate saying, do not let hope in? What if Yah is not asking you to be careless, but he is asking you to let him heal your relationship with expectation? Because hope in Yah is not foolish. Joy in Yah is not unsafe. Gratitude is not a step up for disappointment. You can be sober minded and still rejoice. You can be discerning and still receive. You can be wise and still hope. That is renewal. The goal of guarded gates is not simply to identify what is wrong. The goal is to let truth govern the gate. So, once Yah shows us the false belief, we ask, what truth needs to stand here now? If the false belief is, I am not safe, the truth may be, Yah is my refuge and strength. If the false belief is, my needs are a burden, the truth may be, Yah cares for me, and I can bring my needs before him without shame. If the false belief is, I have to control everything, Yah is sovereign, faithful, and able to lead what I cannot manage. If the belief is, I must perform to be accepted, the truth may be, my identity is established by Yah before I produce anything. If the false belief is, I cannot trust, the truth may be, Yah can teach me discernment without fear ruling me. If the belief is, I have to hide, the truth may be, confession, humility, and truth brings healing. Shame is not my covering. This is where renewal happens. Renewal is not just saying, I will stop reacting like that. Renewal says, Yah, replace the belief that has been feeding that reaction. Because if the belief remains, the reaction will keep finding a way back. But when truth begins to govern the gate, the responses begin to change. So, right now, if you are at a place where you can pause, I want you to take a moment with Yah. You do not have to force anything. You do not have to dig in your own strength. Just come honestly and ask, Yahuwah, what entered through pain that I have allowed to stay? What belief did I make room for because it felt protected? What rule did I create after I was hurt? Where have I called fear wisdom? Where have I let shame, rejection, or disappointment disciple my heart? Show me with mercy, Abba. Show me with truth. Show me what needs to be removed from the gate of my heart. And teach me what truth belongs there instead. Now, after Yah reveals, we respond. We do not just observe the false rule, we renounce it. That may sound like, I renounce the agreement that I am only safe when I am in control. I renounce the belief that correction means rejection. I renounce the rule that I must never need anything. I renounce the vow that I will always hide what I feel. I renounce the belief that my worth comes from being useful. I renounce the fear that tells me I cannot hope again. I renounce the shame that tells me I must perform instead of repent. And then we replace it with truth. Yahuwah is my shepherd. Yahuwah is my refuge. Yahuwah is faithful. Yahuwah corrects in love. Yahuwah teaches me wisdom. Yahuwah guards what I surrender to him. Yahuwah truth has authority over my reactions. This is not a one-time performance. This is practice. Yes, this is discipleship. This is renewal. This is learning how to stop letting the old wound be the gatekeeper. Girl, as you move through this guarded gate reflection, I want you to journal through these questions. What did younger me decide after the painful season? What belief entered through that womb? What rule have I been living by that Yah never gave me? Where have I called fear wisdom? What needs to be removed from the gate of my heart? What truth does Yah want to establish in its place? What would my response look like if truth governed me instead of fear? Take your time with these questions. Do not rush the work of Yah. Sometimes we want a quick answer, we do, but deeper healing requires stillness. Let him show you the pattern. Let him show you the gate. Let him show you what entered. Let him show you what stayed. And then let him teach you how to guard that place with truth. I will also pin these questions in the comment section below. Woman of Yah, I want you to remember this. You are not wrong for needing protection. You are not shameful because you developed survival patterns. You are not disqualified because pain taught you things that Yah is now correcting. You are being invited deeper. You are being invited out of survival and into surrender. You are being invited out of fear-based guarding and into truth-led guarding. You are being invited to stop letting the womb decide what get access to your heart. Yah is faithful enough to show you what entered. He is gentle enough to heal what was wounded. He is wise enough to teach you how to guard your gates without becoming hardened. You do not have to live guarded by fear. You do not have to live ruled by rejection. You do not have to keep protecting the very system that is imprisoning you. You can let Yah remove what he never planted. You can let truth stand at the gate. You can be healed. You can be renewed. You can be taught a new way. I invite you to say this declaration with me. I guard my gates with truth. I no longer give fear the permission to govern what only Yah should lead. What entered through pain must now bow to Yahuwah's truth. Yes, my heart belongs to him. My mind belongs to him. My reactions belongs to him. I will not let shame, fear, rejection, or control discipline my inner life. Yahuwah is my shepherd, my refuge. He's my covering, my teacher, and I am being healed, renewed, and I let truth lead. Shalom.